Hey guys, and welcome back to the third instalment of the Football League Predictor. Today we're going to be doing the League One 2021 and 2022 season prediction. So let's get into it. We start with the first weekend, 7th of August. We start with Sunderland versus Wigan, and we're going to do this the same way we did the Championship. So we'll just go through the full weekend of 12 fixtures and we'll look at the table after each weekend, after each match week. So without further ado, let's get into it. I have Wednesday to draw 0-0 at Charlton, a 1-1, a 1-0 Doncaster. And again, we're going to do the same process that I did last time, where the first scoreline that comes to mind is what I'm going to type in, as opposed to me sitting there and thinking about it, because when I sit there and think about it, as I said last time, I'm a Championship predictor. Sometimes I overthink it. I look at a fixture like, for example, Wycombe against Accrington, and I put 1-0, and if I sat there and think about it, I might be like 3-0, 4-0, 4-1, 3-2. I'll be forever changing, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go with the first thing that comes to mind. So, after the first game, we have Morecambe sitting bottom, Accrington, Wimbledon and Oxford joining them in the relegation zone, with Shrewsbury, Lincoln and Wigan all failing to win. Plymouth, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Charlton, Fleetwood, Crewe, Bolton Wanderers, Portsmouth, Cheltenham and MK Dons all picking up a point, whilst Wycombe, Doncaster, Cambridge, Gillingham, Sunderland, Burton and Ipswich all win their opening fixtures. Into match week 2 on the 14th, the following Saturday. 1-1, 1-2, 0-2, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 2-0, 0-1, 1-1. Two fixtures in, Ipswich are remaining top, Wycombe second, the only two teams who have won their opening two fixtures. And the only teams who have lost their opening two fixtures are Shrewsbury and Wigan, who sit bottom 2. And the only three teams who have drawn their opening two fixtures are Plymouth, Bolton and MK Dons, sitting 14th through 16th respectively. Into match week 3 on the 17th, which is a midweek. On the Tuesday, we're going 1-2, 0-2, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 3-0, 1-1, 1-2 and 1-0. So Wycombe to go top of the league on 9 points after 3 fixtures, with Ipswich in second place, Portsmouth, Sunderland, Cambridge up there too, Lincoln in 6th, Oxford, Doncaster, Morecambe just outside of the playoffs, joint on points but worse goal difference, with Shrewsbury and Wigan still yet to win a game, and only one team to have drawn their opening 3 fixtures, that being MK Dons, who've got a 1-1 draw at home to Charlton and Sunderland, and a 1-1 draw away to Bolton, so all 3 of them coming in 1-1 draws. As we move into match week 4 on the Saturday, we get 2-0, 0-1, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-2, 3-0, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1 and 1-0. Meaning Wycombe remain top with an unbeaten 100% record, 4 wins out of 4. Sitting on 12 points, Ipswich and Sunderland following closely behind, with Oxford, Doncaster and Morecambe over there in the playoffs. Morecambe and Cambridge just coming up from League 2 and they're top 7 at this point. Wigan are the only team not to have picked up a singular point so far in the league, and MK Dons 100% unbeaten starters come to an end after they lose 2-0 away to Ipswich as we get into match week 5. The end of August, last game of August, we have a 2-1, a 1-0, a 1-0, a 3-1, a 1-1, 1-0, 0-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1 and a 1-0. Meaning at the end of August, after 5 fixtures, Ipswich and Sunderland are joint for first place, only goal difference separates them. Sunderland conceding an additional goal to Ipswich, but both teams scoring 9, leading scorers in the league joint. With Cheltenham sitting on the bottom, Shrewsbury, Bolton and Wigan also in the relegation zone, MK Dons, Wimbledon, Crewe, Accrington and Gillingham just outside, while the playoffs consist of Wycombe Wanderers, Cambridge United, Rotherham and Morecambe, with Lincoln, Oxford, Doncaster and Charlton just outside. As we head into September, on the 4th we have Accrington versus Shrewsbury, that's going to be a 1-0. A 0-0, a 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, and a 1-3. Ipswich with a really strong team this year, from what I've seen. It looks like they've made some good investments, so hopefully it'll be an improvement from the previous seasons for them, because they've had a couple of dodgy seasons in League One. So we have Ipswich sitting on 16 points, now 3 points clear of second place Sunderland, who lose 1-0 away at Hillsborough to Sheffield Wednesday. Morecambe dropping out of the top 6 and drop down to 10. Shrewsbury down to bottom. Cheltenham still in relegation despite winning. Into match week 7 on the 11th. After the international break, we have 2-0, 2-2, 2-3, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 3-0, 0-1, 1-1, 2-1, and 1-0. So Ipswich remaining top of the league in their unbeaten form. They're the only team not to have lost in the league so far. Sunderland still in second. Lincoln and Oxford, who both made it to playoffs, I believe, last season, are both up there as well. Morecambe still up there. Charlton are up there. Sheffield Wednesday, Doncaster, Wigan, Portsmouth, Cambridge, Rotherham, all in the mix to get playoffs. Bottom is Bolton Wanderers. MK Dons now struggling. They've lost their last 4 games, whatever it is. 3 of the last 4 games, I think it is. Cheltenham in 22nd, Shrewsbury also in relegation, Wimbledon, Plymouth, Fleetwood, Accrington, Crewe, Gillingham just outside of a relegation zone by a couple of points. Still early in the season though, we move into the 8th game. 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 2-1, 1-2, 0-0, 0-1, 3-0, 2-1, and 1-0. After 8 fixtures, Sheffield Wednesday move into the top 4. Ipswich remain in top despite a 0-0 draw away to Lincoln City. As Sunderland move a couple of points closer with their 2-1 victory away to Fleetwood. They're now only a point off the top of the league. Doncaster and Wigan join in Sheffield Wednesday and Lincoln in the playoff spots as Cambridge drop out, Oxford drop out. MK Dons bottom of the league, Shrewsbury, Bolton and Plymouth all joining them. Fleetwood in dire danger. As we move into match week 9. 3-1, 1-1, 1-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0 and 2-1. After 9 fixtures, we have Ipswich and Sunderland still top 2. Now a little bit of a gap between second and third as there's 5 points separating Sunderland from Lincoln. Shrewsbury, Bolton, Fleetwood and MK Dons are now bottom 4. Plymouth are outside of relegation alongside Wimbledon and Cheltenham. Crewe and Burton aren't too far above it, neither are Accrington or Gillingham. The league's starting to take a little bit of a shape and starting to split up a little bit. Into match week 10, 1-1. 1-2, 2-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-1, 1-0, 2-1 and 1-1. As Ipswich remain top and now creating a little bit of a gap over Sunderland, who drop points at home to Cheltenham. Now 3 points clear at Cheltenham. And the bottom 4 are Fleetwood hitting bottom of the league, Bolton, Shrewsbury, Cheltenham all still down there. Rotherham move into the playoffs, Sheffield Wednesday drop out. Cambridge having a great season so far. Morecambe has started to drop off of those top 6 spots by this point. Into the 11th game. 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 1-1, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 1-1, 1-0 and 0-0. 11 games gone and Ipswich drawing 1-1 away at the Wham Stadium against Accrington. Moves them up to 27 as they still lead in the league. Portsmouth's 2-1 defeat at home to Sunderland means that Sunderland catch up to Ipswich once again. Portsmouth are just outside of the playoffs now. Doncaster at this point still haven't drawn. Ipswich haven't lost. There's nobody who's yet to win. Fleetwood remain bottom now, 3 points adrift of safety. 2-2, 2-0. 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, and 1-2. As Wycombe are starting to drop off a little bit, they got relegated last season. They actually had a really good finish last season. Despite going down, you know, they won something like the last 4 fixtures, I think it was, something like that. And they had a really good fight back. They only went down on goal difference. to Derby County. I know there was a little bit of controversy over whether Derby should have gone down or not. Here, Fleetwood remain bottom. Shrewsbury, Cheltenham and Plymouth are all in the relegation zone. Bolton just above it. Doncaster, Cambridge, Rotherham and Lincoln in the playoffs, with Sunderland and Ipswich top 2. Ipswich still yet to lose a game, as we get a 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 2-0 and 2-1. Sheffield Wednesday dropping off a little bit as well. Wycombe are really struggling at this point, now 7 defeats and they're opening 13 fixtures. Ipswich remain top on 33, Sunderland on 30 and Lincoln 27. 3 points separating first from second, second from third, third from fourth, and fourth and fifth from sixth. Starting to see a pattern developing as Plymouth hit bottom of the league. Fleetwood, Shrewsbury and Cheltenham all in relegation alongside them. We move into match week 14. 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, 2-1, 1-0, 5-2. I meant to put 4-2. I'm going to correct that. I just hit the wrong key. 4-2. 0-1, 1-1 and 1-0. As Ipswich remain in top of the league with a 1-0 victory away at Fratton Park. Sunderland still second, Lincoln still third. Doncaster in fourth. Cambridge dropping out of the top 6 after their 1-1 draw at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Oxford climb above them with a 1-0 victory at home to bottom of the league Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury joined by Fleetwood, MK Dons and Cheltenham. Burton, Plymouth, Crewe, Bolton, Accrington, Wimbledon all within a couple of points of relegation. It's a big battle for survival. Even this early in the season, later on in the season, we could still see it being a similar battle if teams don't start picking up points. 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 1-1, 3-0 and 0-1. As Wycombe losing yet another game, 8 games they've lost now on 17 points in 14th, as they're sitting just 4 points above the relegation zone. Maybe this will happen, maybe it won't. I don't know. This is just, as I say, the first score that comes to mind is what I'm going with. Ipswich remain in top, still unbeaten after 15 fixtures. Doncaster still yet to draw a game, sitting 4th in the league. Sheffield Wednesday in 9th, maybe not doing as well as you'd want to. Morecambe really punching above their weight in 10th and only 3 points off the playoffs. Cambridge still in that mix for playoffs. Charlton, Wimbledon, you know, all mid-table teams. As we move into match week 16. And we get 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0 and 1-2. Ipswich remain in top and they have lost their first game of the season, this time coming away to Plymouth Argyle, who are fighting off relegation, as Sunderland also lose away to Rotherham and Lincoln also drop points at home to Shrewsbury, so none of the top 3 winning. Rotherham won, Doncaster failed to win, Cambridge won, Portsmouth won, you know, Sheffield Wednesday won as well, so there's a little bit of a fight going on for top 6 now. Shrewsbury bottom of the league, 2 points adrift of safety. Bolton, Accrington, Fleetwood all in relegation with them. Moving into week 17. In November we have 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 3-0, 0-1, 1-2 and 2-0. Wycombe back to winning ways as they move up to 13th, and they might start climbing at this point to get back into that playoff battle. Ipswich remain top now, 5 points clear of Sunderland, who drop points at home to 3rd place Lincoln. Doncaster, Rotherham in that mix for 3rd place now. Sheffield Wednesday back into the playoffs. Morecambe still up there, Cambridge still up there. Cheltenham are mid-table and Bolton are 18th. They're the 4 promoted teams. As Shrewsbury sit at bottom, 3 points adrift of safety, with Fleetwood, Burton and Plymouth Argyle in relegation with them. Taking a sip of water. Too much. As we move into week 18. 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 2-0, 2-3, 2-1, 1-2, 1-0 and 2-1. Back-to-back wins for Wigan means they're in 12th and now 7 points off of the top 6. They're really pushing back, trying to get back in that mix. Fleetwood out of relegation with a 2-0 victory at home to Morecambe as Bolton drop in alongside MK Dons, Plymouth and Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury now 4 points adrift of safety. Sheffield Wednesday dropping out of the playoffs after a 1-0 defeat away to Accrington as Cambridge's 2-1 victory at the New York Stadium against Rotherham puts them into 6th. Lincoln are still top 3. Sunderland 5 points clear of Lincoln and Ipswich 5 points clear of Sunderland. Into week 19, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-3, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1 and 1-0. Means that Ipswich are now 8 points clear of Sunderland after Sunderland lose 2-0 away to Shrewsbury Town. Sunderland still in second place, Lincoln creating a gap between themselves and Doncaster on 36 points. Doncaster 32, Cambridge 31, Rotherham 31, now 3 points higher than Sheffield Wednesday, who follow them in 7th place, just outside of the playoffs. Alongside Portsmouth, Oxford and Charlton and Morecambe all on 28 points, only goal difference separating them. Shrewsbury bottom of the league still despite a 2-0 victory at home to Sunderland. Plymouth are joint on points but have better goal difference. Fleetwood, MK Dons all down there. Wigan, Bolton Wanderers, Accrington, Wimbledon, Gillingham, Burton, Crewe all still in the mix. Wycombe, Cheltenham all in the mix. Only 5 points clear of a relegation zone and sitting mid-table. It's very, very tight at the minute. There's only 11 points between 6th and 21st, between the last playoff space and the highest relegation place. There's only 11 points after nearly half of the games of the season. As we move into week 20, and we're going to start with a 2-0 victory, 0-0, 0-1, 1-2, 2-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-2 and 3-0. As Ipswich remain in top and still 8 points clear of Sunderland, they'll probably be top for a while at this point. Ipswich, we've got quite a big gap over the trailing pack. Lincoln in 3rd, now fighting for 2nd place as they're only 2 points adrift of Sunderland. Did Sunderland drop points in that game? They didn't, they won at Cambridge. 6 points between 3rd and 4th was Doncaster, Sheffield Wednesday, Portsmouth, Oxford, Cambridge, Charlton, Rotherham, Morecambe are all still in that mix within 4 points of each other. Down at the bottom, Shrewsbury, Fleetwood, Plymouth all sit in bottom 3 as Milton Keynes Dons are joint with Accrington, but only goal difference separates them once again. Wigan, Gillingham just a point above. Crewe, Burton just 2 points above. Wycombe, Bolton, Wimbledon all 3 points above, and 4 points above is Cheltenham. There's a 4 point gap between 11th and 12th, and there's a 4 point gap between 12th and 21st at this point. As we move into week 21, approaching the midway point of the season. 1-1, 2-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2 and 2-0. As Ipswich remain top, drawing 0-0 away to Charlton, Sunderland's 2-0 victory at home to Morecambe puts them ever closer to top of the league and further in front of Lincoln, who lose 2-0 away at Crewe. Doncaster, Portsmouth, Cambridge shaking up in final top 6 spots at this point in the season, with Charlton, Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday and Oxford just outside. Relegation is Plymouth bottom, Shrewsbury on 20, Fleetwood 21, MK Dons 22, with Wigan, Accrington, Burton, Gillingham, Bolton, Cheltenham and Wimbledon and Crewe not too far in front as we move into week 22 in mid-December. 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 3-0, 1-1 and 1-0. As Ipswich remain top, 7 points ahead of Sunderland, who lose 2-1 at home to Plymouth, who were bottom of the league going into that game. Doncaster catching up to Lincoln after Lincoln get a second successive defeat, I believe. Second successive defeat. This time away to Cheltenham, as Doncaster catch up to them with a 1-0 victory at home to Shrewsbury. Portsmouth are in that mix for the top 3 now. Charlton are up there, Rotherham, Cambridge, Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford, nothing changes. Wycombe overtake Morecambe as Morecambe are starting to lose a few games here. We've lost the last 2. We haven't won in 3, haven't won in 4, haven't won in 5. We haven't won in 5 games now, Morecambe. As we approach the midway point of the season into our 23rd game. Shrewsbury bottom, by the way. Fleetwood, Plymouth and Burton all in relegation alongside them. So we get 2-3, 2-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 0-0 and 0-1. 23 games gone just before Christmas. Just before Boxing Day fixtures. So just before Christmas, as Ipswich are 10 points ahead of Sunderland, and it looks like they should be going up this season from their current point amount, as they are 12 points clear of 3rd place Lincoln. Portsmouth, Doncaster, Charlton taking up the last 3 spots in the playoffs. Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Cambridge, Wickham, Oxford, Morecambe just outside. With relegation, Shrewsbury sitting at the foot of the table once again. Fleetwood, Plymouth, Accrington, Wigan, MK Dons, Bolton, Wimbledon, Burton, Gillingham are all still in that mix for relegation. As we move into our Boxing Day fixtures, 2 more fixtures before the new year. We have 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0 and 1-1. Pardon me. Ipswich lose 1-0 away to Gillingham. Only the 2nd defeat of the season. Good record for them so far. They're still 9 points ahead of Sunderland, who dropped points away to Doncaster. Lincoln losing at home to MK Dons, and Portsmouth beating Oxford means that Portsmouth overtake Lincoln. Lincoln off of 3rd place in the table for the first time in about 3 months. Doncaster, Rotherham still in the playoffs. Sheffield Wednesday, Charlton, Cambridge, Wickham all closely following. Shrewsbury still bottom of the league, but only 2 points adrift of safety. Fleetwood, Plymouth and Accrington all with them in relegation. As we move into the 29th, which are our 25th fixture, the 29th of December. 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-0, 1-2, 1-3, 2-0 and 2-1. As Ipswich are 7 points clear with a 1-1 draw at home to Wickham. As Sunderland do get a victory this time at home to Sheffield Wednesday, but now only 7 points off the top of the league. There's only 9 points between 1st and 3rd, as Ipswich are starting to struggle a little bit and drop a few points here and there as we head into the new year. Charlton back into the top 6, Doncaster, Lincoln don't change. Rotherham, Sheffield Wednesday, Cambridge all still closely following. Fleetwood bottom, Plymouth 2nd bottom, Accrington, Shrewsbury still in relegation. There's now 5 points between 20th and 24th as we move into our 26th game of the season on New Year's Day. 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 2-3, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-2, 1-0 and 2-1. Wigan with back-to-back victories, both 2-1 victories, means that Wigan now move a few points clear of relegation as Ipswich remain top and Sunderland still in 2nd. Portsmouth joined for 2nd. Lincoln, Doncaster, Charlton not changing. Top 8 by the looks of it, not changing positions. Shrewsbury, Plymouth, Fleetwood, Accrington all in relegation as we move into week 27, which is on the 8th of January. We have a 1-1, a 1-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 1-1 and 1-2. Pardon me. 27 fixtures played. Ipswich still 9 points clear of 2nd place. Of 3rd place Portsmouth. 7 points clear of 2nd place Sunderland after their 1-1 draw away to Wimbledon. Doncaster were the only team not to have drawn about 10-15 games ago. They now drawn 5 fixtures. The team to have drawn the least are Crewe Alexandra on 3. The team to have won the least is Accrington on 5. And the team to have lost the least is Ipswich on 2. With Ipswich winning the most on 17. The most being drawn is 9 by Accrington, Burton and Cambridge. And the most being lost is 14 by Plymouth, Wimbledon and Crewe so far in this season. We have 27 fixtures gone, and the bottom 4 are Accrington, Plymouth, Fleetwood and Shrewsbury. Now a point between 20th and 21st. Not a massive gap, but a gap nonetheless as we move into week 28 with a 1-1, 1-2, 0-3, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-3, 2-0, 4-1 and 1-0. Wycombe are back in that mix now, only 4 points off of the playoffs. Doncaster dropping to 6th place as Charlton up to 5th. Portsmouth dropping, Lincoln into 3rd. Sunderland still 2nd, Ipswich still top. Bolton are mid-table. Now this will be I'd say a comfortable season for them. Mid-table, I'd assume what Bolton had won. I don't think they'll go up, I don't think they'll be going down. You know, Accrington bottom, now 7 points off of safety. Plymouth, Shrewsbury, Fleetwood all in relegation with them. Moving into week 29, 2-0, 0-0, 0-1, 1-0, oops, 1-2, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 2-0, 3-1 and 1-0. Pardon me. Ipswich on 65 points, 9 points ahead of 2nd place Sunderland and 11 points in front of Lincoln who are 3rd. Charlton up to 4th, Portsmouth into 5th. Sheffield Wednesday move up to 6th as Doncaster drop out of the playoffs, and Wycombe are only a point off the playoffs now. Rotherham, who came down with Wycombe and Sheffield Wednesday, are still chasing. MK Dons are up there chasing now. Crewe aren't too far off either, and neither Morecambe or Oxford. Cambridge have dropped out a little bit. Shrewsbury are 21st with Fleetwood 22nd. Plymouth and Accrington are 8 points apiece adrift of safety, both on 25 points. As we move into match week 30 to end January, I think. To end January. We have 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 3-0, 3-1, 1-1, 1-0 and 0-1. As Ipswich on 66 after another draw, this time away to Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. Sunderland on 57, Lincoln on 57, Portsmouth 53, Charlton 50, Doncaster 48. Look at that mid-table between 12th and 22nd. There is only 7 points after 30 fixtures. Accrington and Plymouth still bottom 2. Plymouth still 8 points off. Accrington got a win in that game at home to Morecambe, meaning they moved to within 5 points of safety. Cheltenham, Burton, Gillingham, Cambridge are all possibly going to drop into the relegation zone here into February. 31, 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0 and 3-0. As Wigan are starting to pick up a few results going in their favour, they're on to 41 points and only 8 points clear of relegation, but also only 8 points off of the playoffs. Doncaster in 6th with Charlton, Portsmouth and Lincoln all taking up playoff spots. Sunderland remaining in 2nd, still joint on points with Lincoln. Both teams drawing, I believe, in that fixture. Ipswich are 11 points clear of 2nd and 3rd. Accrington are back to the bottom of the league as Plymouth move up on better goal difference. Shrewsbury and Cheltenham now in relegation as Fleetwood jump out of the relegation zone into match week 32. 1-2, 0-2, 2-2, 2-1, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 3-0 and 0-1. Means that Ipswich are on to 69 points, 8 points clear of Sunderland. Ipswich must have lost then. Ipswich did lose, they lost away to Doncaster, who just drew away to Sunderland the game before, I believe. Yeah, having a couple of difficult fixtures here, Doncaster, but we seem to be doing very well at picking up points. As they move with 3 points clear of Rotherham. Wycombe is still in the chasing pack as the Sheffield Wednesday, MK Dons, Oxford. Accrington bottom of the league, Plymouth in 2nd bottom, Shrewsbury, Cheltenham all down there. 3 points between 20th and 21st as Fleetwood pick up a victory at home to MK Dons. Match week 33, we have 1-2, 0-2, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 1-0, 1-1, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1 and 1-0. meaning that Sunderland still remain in second place. Ipswich 11 points clear again. Lincoln, Portsmouth, Charlton, Doncaster all in the playoffs. Sheffield Wednesday, Wycombe and Rotherham all chasing. Fleetwood's defeat away to Cheltenham means that they are joint on points with Cheltenham now. Shrewsbury 3 points behind in 22nd. 23rd is Plymouth and 24th is Accrington. Bolton also on 36 by the way, only goal difference separating the 19th, 20th and 21st for that last relegation spot as we move into the 19th of Feb. 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 0-0 and 4-0. As Wycombe are 3 points off of the playoffs, as Sheffield Wednesday now 5 points off the playoffs. 9 points clear Ipswich. It does look like they're going to hold it out and get promoted. Accrington now 9 points adrift of safety. 8 points adrift is Plymouth. 4 points adrift for Shrewsbury and 2 points adrift for Cheltenham. We move into week 35. We're getting down to the business end of the season, so things are starting to get interesting. A 1-1 draw, 1-0, 0-0, 0-1, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 3-0, 0-0, 2-1 and 1-1. Same rules apply in this one as what apply in all leagues, I guess. When you get to the business end of the season, you usually get your lower teams start picking up more points as they've got nothing to lose at this point, and higher teams start cracking under pressure. Not always the case, but sometimes higher teams can start cracking under pressure and dropping points where you wouldn't expect them to. As we get into match week 36, 11 games remaining. Oh yeah, sorry, Cheltenham, Shrewsbury, Accrington, Plymouth all bottom 4 at this point. 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-2, 3-0, 2-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0 and 2-0. Meaning that Ipswich are 13 points clear of second and third. Lincoln have dropped right off of the battle for top 2. Charlton and Wycombe are now into the playoffs as Rotherham, Doncaster, Sheffield Wednesday, Oxford just outside in the chasing pack. Accrington still bottom, joint with Plymouth. Shrewsbury are 5 points off of safety. Cheltenham 3 points off of safety. Bolton, Burton, Fleetwood, Cambridge, Wigan, Wimbledon, Morecambe, Crewe, Gillingham, MK Dons could all still fall into that mix with a couple of bad results as we move into March. On our 37th fixture, we have 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 0-0, 3-0, 1-0 and 1-1. As Sunderland have dropped out of the top 2 as Portsmouth go into the top 2, still 13 points behind, 16 points between first and third as there's 27 points remaining on the grid. Ipswich just need a few more wins to secure that promotion that they've been looking for. Accrington, Plymouth, both looking like getting relegated at this point. Shrewsbury, Cheltenham still in the mix for safety. We move into game 38. 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 3-0, 0-0, 0-1, 1-1, 1-2 and 2-0. Ipswich are 16 points clear of second and 18 points clear of third place. Sunderland, who draw 0-0 at home to Crewe. 18 points clear with 24 left to play for. 2 more wins could get it for Ipswich. 3 more wins will definitely get it. 2 more wins and a draw will definitely get promotion. Their remaining 8 fixtures. Bolton are into the relegation zone as Cheltenham jump out with a 1-1 draw away to Morecambe. Bolton's defeat at home to Plymouth means that Plymouth are closer. Accrington are also closer to safety. Shrewsbury are closer to safety as well. None of the bottom 4 teams losing in that fixture, I believe. Cheltenham and Shrewsbury, none of them losing. As we get into game week 39, we have 2-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, sorry, 1-0, 1-1, 1-2, 0-0, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0 and 3-1. 39 games gone. Ipswich on 86 points, 16 points clear of Sunderland. We've got that draw we need, just 2 more wins will get them promoted. Portsmouth in second on 72. Lincoln, Charlton, Rotherham still in the playoffs. Wycombe just outside. Doncaster, Oxford, Sheffield Wednesday, Gillingham just outside. Accrington bottom, Shrewsbury second bottom, Plymouth on 40, Cheltenham on 42 as Bolton climb out of a relegation zone. We move into game week 40. 1-1, 1-0, 1-2, 2-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 1-1, 1-0 and 0-1. Fleetwood with a vital victory away to Wigan means they move 4 points adrift of a relegation zone. 4 points above a relegation zone, I mean. Accrington 6 points off a safety now with 6 games remaining. It's not looking likely they're going to stay up. Shrewsbury, Plymouth, Cheltenham all still in that mix. Bolton, Fleetwood, MK Dons, Burton, Crewe, Wigan, Cambridge, Wimbledon, they could all still drop into that mix and still be in that relegation battle. Oxford move into the top 6 ahead of Rotherham, who lost away to Sunderland. Sunderland are still 2 points behind second place Portsmouth as we move into game 41. Ipswich are playing at home to Cambridge. This could be the game that they get promoted. 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 4-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1 and 3-1. As Ipswich on to 92 points, 18 points clear with 15 left to play for, as they do get promoted and they do win the league as they're 17 points clear of second place, as Ipswich will win the league as they've only lost 3 games so far this season. Accrington have climbed up to 40 points with a crucial victory at home to Cheltenham, another relegation rival. Shrewsbury, Plymouth, Cheltenham all still in relegation, Bolton just outside. It looks like a bottom 5 battle at this point. But there is a few teams up there who could still drop into the relegation battle in the next couple of games. Into game 42, we're in April now, by the way. This is going to be the second game in April. We have 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 0-0 and 3-0. Wimbledon with a great victory at home to MK Dons might have just about guaranteed them survival as they're now 10 points clear of a relegation zone with 12 left to play for. Cambridge look to be safe, Wigan, Crewe, Burton, Morecambe, I'd say they're all just about safe at this point, with Fleetwood can still drop into that relegation scrap. Bolton, Accrington, Cheltenham, Plymouth, Shrewsbury all need to start picking up wins. They're in dire need of wins right now. 2 points between second and third place. Sheffield Wednesday, Charlton, Oxford, Doncaster still within 3 points of the playoffs, but not quite there yet as we move on to the 15th of April. 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-2 and 2-1. Sunderland move back up to second place with a better goal difference than Portsmouth after they draw 0-0 at home to Lincoln. Lincoln, in that mix, it could still make top 2, but it looks very unlikely, as could Wickham, but that also looks unlikely. Rotherham now can't make automatic spots, but they are still fighting for the final playoff spot, as Bolton drop into relegation, as Accrington, with some great results recently, have jumped out of relegation. Shrewsbury, Plymouth and Cheltenham are still in the relegation zone. As we have 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 1-2 and 3-2. Getting very interesting now. There's 2 games remaining as Shrewsbury are 5 points adrift of safety. I'd say commiserations at this point. Shrewsbury, it looks like they're going to go down. Cheltenham, Accrington, Plymouth also in relegation. Bolton, who beat Accrington in this game by 1-0, might have just about guaranteed survival for themselves. Fleetwood could still get relegated on paper. Mathematically, they could still go down, but it doesn't look likely as they're now 6 points clear of a relegation zone. 99 points at Ipswich. They're going to beat our 100-point century thing that we got a few years ago. Sunderland are on 77, Portsmouth on 77, Lincoln on 75, could still finish second. Wickham on 69, Charlton 69, Doncaster 69, Rotherham 68, Oxford 67 and Sheffield Wednesday 66. As there's still 3 points between 6th and 10th. Between 5th and 10th, sorry. Sheffield Wednesday could still get into the playoff spots as we go into the 23rd of April and then 30th of April to end our season. Into game 45 we get 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 2-1, 1-0, 1-1 and 2-1. As Wycombe's victory at home to Sheffield Wednesday means that Sheffield Wednesday are not going to make playoffs, and neither are Oxford. Rotherham, Doncaster, Charlton, Wycombe all going to battle it out for those last 2 spots. Lincoln aren't going to make top 2 now. It's between Portsmouth and Sunderland coming into the final game. One more point will get a century of points for Ipswich, who lost 1-0 away to Crewe. Shrewsbury are relegated. Commiserations to them. They lost 2-1 away to Charlton. Plymouth, Accrington, Cheltenham look to be taking up them last relegation spots, but it could still be Bolton, who are only 2 points above the relegation zone. I'd say at this point, also say goodbye to Cheltenham. They have to overturn an 11-goal deficit, even if they win, and Bolton to lose. And also for Plymouth and Accrington to lose for them to stay up. As we move into game 46, we get a 1-1, 1-0, 0-0, 0-2, 1-2, 2-0, 2-1, 1-1, 1-0, 2-1, 1-0 and 0-0. Meaning that the final table consists of 102 points for Ipswich, who beat Charlton by 2-0 on the final day of the season. Only losing 4 games all season as well. That's a really brilliant achievement for them. Sunderland do secure that second place in the end on 83 points after securing a 2-1 victory away to Morecambe, and Portsmouth's 2-1 defeat away to Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough means they will finish in third on 80 points. Lincoln on 79 to play Rotherham, who finish on 74. Doncaster finish on 73. They'll play Portsmouth in the playoffs. I think between those 4 teams, I'd say Rotherham to go through against Lincoln and Portsmouth to go through against Doncaster, and then I'd say Portsmouth to beat Rotherham in the final. Wycombe on 72, just a point off of the playoffs, alongside Charlton also 72. Sheffield Wednesday 69. Oxford 68 in 10th. MK on 60. Crewe 59. Gillingham 59. Wimbledon 58. Morecambe 58. Cambridge 57. Burton 56. Wigan 53. Fleetwood 52. Plymouth Argyle 48. Bolton Wanderers dropped in on the last day of the season on 48. Bolton drawing at home to Fleetwood, and Plymouth's 1-0 victory at home to MK Dons guarantee them survival. Accrington 46, Cheltenham 45, and Shrewsbury did pick up a victory last game of the season but remain bottom after their 1-0 victory against Wigan. Keeps them on 44 points, bottom of the league. The most goals conceded in that league that season was Cheltenham Town on 59. The least scored was joint between Cheltenham and Shrewsbury, both on 35. The most scored was 68 by Ipswich, and the least conceded was also 27, also by Ipswich. Ipswich losing the least games on 4. The least draws coming for 8 draws between Portsmouth, Rotherham and Crewe, all joint for the least draws. The least wins were joint between Accrington and Shrewsbury, both on 10. The most wins, 30 for Ipswich. The most draws were 14 for Sunderland. 16 for Accrington were the most draws, and the most defeats were 23 for Cheltenham Town. And that is your League One table for 2021-2022 season. Hope you all enjoyed it, and have a good night. Goodbye.